Okay, so today's goal is still in linear relations. We're going to find the equation in the form y equals mx plus b. So we've actually been doing this already, and we have done a couple of these. So these two will look very familiar. We're going to add a few new techniques, and specifically we want to really get this algebraic one down because it builds into grades 10, 11, and 12 with other types of graphs. So let's get to it. Okay, so the equation of a line that we use the most often is y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, you'll notice I've been repeating that in every single lesson for the last little while because it's that important. Okay, so this is what we've been doing, so this should look very familiar. Determine the equation of a line with the following table of values. So if I were to still look at this table of values and I checked my first differences, I would see, hey, these are all changing by 3. I would want to check this side as well to make sure. These are all changing by 1. So from there, I could get my slope because this is my rise on the left hand side. This is my rise, sorry, right hand side, and my run is over on the x's. So I have my slope is 3 over 1. Okay, if I have my y-intercept, I just know I have to go to where x equals 0, and whatever value is there, that becomes my y-intercept. So that's 0, 10. And then if I bring those two pieces together, my equation becomes y equals, and you can put the 1 in there if you want, 3 over 1 times x plus 10. And that's it. That's all there is to finding the equation. And that's what we've been doing for the last few lessons. So we're just going to expand on that now. Okay, so let's try this one. This one is in a graphing format. So if you're really happy with table of values, don't forget you could always just make a quick table of values and take all of this information and put it in a table of values. You could totally do that. Okay, but we're going to work with our graph here. So if I looked at this, the slope will be the rate of change or the rise over run between any two adjacent points. Between any points for that matter. So if you look at this one, this has a run of 2 and a rise of 4. So I should be able to get a slope of 4 over 2 or a slope of 2 over 1. So there's my slope. And I want it in lowest terms. It makes life a little easier. I can also spot that this is my y-intercept, 0, negative 2. And if I bring those two pieces together, and again, you don't have to put the 2 over 1, you can just write 2. I'm just doing that for clarity. Okay, there's the equation. Okay, so most of the times it'll be written like this. Okay, I just like to put the 1 in there to remind people that that's slope. Okay, so those two are out of the way. Okay, so we have 3 more to do, and they're all very similar, so let's blast through them. Determine the equation of the line that has a slope of 2. Awesome. And passes through negative 4, negative 6. Okay, now this is really important. This is not a y-intercept. So when I look at my slope, I was told it's 2. So I'm going to write it as 2 over 1. I don't know the y-intercept. But what I can do, and this is where having the little piece of graph paper here is very handy, if I plot the point negative 4, negative 6, and I put a dot there, and I know the slope is 2 over 1, I can use that to graph the line very quickly because I know the next point has to be up 2 and over 1. 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 And I can just keep going and I can draw the line really quickly. But all I really needed to get to was to this location so I can get my y-intercept. So there it is. Now if I bring those two pieces of information together, I can create my equation of my line. Okay, so if you're given a line, or if you're given some information, you can still use it to come up with your equation. So let's try another one. If you want to pause it and give this a whirl yourself, you're welcome to. I'll give you a second to try it. Okay, so determine the equation of a line that has a slope of negative 2 and passes through negative 3, 8. So I know my slope here. I'm going to write it down because it's good practice to get that on the page. I don't have my y-intercept. This is not a y-intercept, so please don't fill that in for a y-intercept. So I'm going to plot some points. So negative 3, up 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. There it is. Now my slope is negative 2 over 1. That's negative. So it's going to go down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. Down 2, right 1. I'll go a couple more just so we can see. And again, this is the point I'm looking forward to. 0, 2. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. And now our equation becomes negative 2x plus 2. And again, if you want to put the 1 for the slope there, you're totally welcome to. Okay, seem to be going through y-intercepts of 2 a lot, but all right, here's the big finish, the algebraic step. It's 4 lines or 4 steps. Please, please, please try this because we use it a lot in grade 10, 11, and 12. We expand the thinking a little bit to other graphs, but I'm going to do this in 4 lines, and I teach it this way in grades 10, 11, and 12, the exact same process. Okay, with just a few little tweaks. So to find the equation of a line, you need 2 things. Pause this, write this down. You must know this. You need the slope, and you need any point. Not the y-intercept, but any point will do. If you happen to have the y-intercept, it's really quick and fast, but otherwise any point will work. Okay, so let's get cracking. Okay, determine the equation of the line that has a slope of negative 2 and passes through negative 3, 8. Now you should notice this is this question. So we already know the answer is y equals negative 2x plus 2. So I just want to show you the algebra and how this works. So please watch. Step number 1, write the equation of a line. Voila, done. Step number 2, sub in the slope, or given the slope. Step number 3, sub in a point and solve for b. This is the only line that requires any thinking. So we have our point. Please make sure you put your x and your y values in the correct location. So this is going to be an 8 here and a negative 3 here. I'm going to go back to blue. And now we solve that equation for b. So this becomes 8 equals 6 plus b. Subtract 6 from both sides. This is why we did all that algebra. And you end up with 2 equals b. Now this is not the equation of a line. This is simply the b value. So we're done. 1, 2, and 3. Write the equation of the line with both the m and b values. So we're going to take this guy right here, and we're going to put in our m value, our slope value, which was negative 2, and we're going to put in our b value, which is positive 2. And if you look at that equation, y equals negative 2x plus 2, you'll see that's the exact same equation we got when we did it graphically. Okay, so the algebra method works. It just takes a little while to get used to. So let's try another one. Determine the equation of the line for the following. We have just 2 points given this time. Okay, so the process is still the same. We're looking for slopes, y-intercepts, points, and those types of things. If you need to graph it, please graph it. I've got a little picture here just to help see it. So 3, 6, and negative 3, negative 2. So if I want to find the slope, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my slope would be 8 over 6, and I want to make sure I reduce that to 4 over 3. Could I have used my slope formula? Absolutely, that would be another option. Okay, so I just had the graph, so I took advantage of it. My y-intercept, again, that darn 2 keeps showing up. They're not always 2, it just happens to be a lot of my examples. Okay, so I have my slope, I have my y-intercept. If I bring those both together, y equals 4/3 x plus 2. Boom, done. So if you like the graphical method, this is always available to you. You just have to have some graph paper handy. So we're going to do the exact same question now. We'll do it with the algebraic steps. Okay, so write the equation of a line. Easy 1 mark right there. Boom. 2, sub in the slope. Oh, okay, now there's a trick here. You may have to calculate it first. So I don't have the slope given, so I might have to go over to the side of the page and calculate my slope. So I'm going to use my slope formula. And just take a moment. Okay, and you think, well, that doesn't look like 4 over 3, but negative divided by a negative is positive. 8 over 6 reduced. There's the 4/3 that we expected that we got back here. Okay, so now I can substitute in my slope. Okay, now we're coming up on the thinking line, number 3. Now here's the key piece. It does not matter which point you substitute in. You get to choose. I'm going to use this one because there are no negative signs in it. So I'm going to put a 6 in for the y. The x is going to get a value of 3, and then I'm going to solve this problem. Now, this fraction right here, this whole package, I want to do a little bit of thinking before I madly grab a calculator. 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 3 is back down to 4. So this simplifies to 6 equals 4 plus b. If we subtract 4 from both sides, we get b equals 2. And if we bring those ideas together for our final answer, y equals 4/3 x plus 2, and you'll notice that's the exact same answer we got back here. Okay, so we'll do one or two more. This will be our last one, actually. Second last one, last one. Determine the equation of a line for the following. So here's my 2 points. A is at 3, 0, B is at -6, -6. Again, picture helps a ton. Draw a quick little triangle. Count my squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a slope of 6 over 9, which is 2 over 3. So that's out of the way. Okay, and the only reason I'm doing these ones with a picture and then doing them algebraically is so that you can see they're the same, and you can see that you have options. Okay, this time, hey, we got away from the 2 a little bit. We went to a -2 this time, so that's kind of living wild and crazy. And now let's put it together. There's my equation. And again, you're always welcome to graph them. They're just sometimes, if there's tricky numbers, you may not like the graphing approach. So let's do the same question quickly with algebra. So y equals mx plus b, that's step 1. Y equals, I don't have the slope, so I would come over to the side and do a quick slope calculation. Okay, so -6, -6, minus 0, minus 3, watching for any kind of negative issues. Okay, 2 negatives divided becomes positive, and there's the 2/3 I'm expecting. I come back to my problem, put in the 2/3, and I'm done step 1 and step 2. Pick a point. I don't know about you, but I'm taking that guy right there because it's got a 0 in it, and it's going to make my life go a lot faster and quicker here. So I'm going to put a 0 in here. 2/3, replace the x with the 3. Okay, now again, 2/3 times 3. So 2 times 3 across the top is 6. Divide by 3 is back down to 2. Subtract 2 from both sides, and I get a b value of -2. Bring it all together. Y equals 2/3 x minus 2, which again, no surprise, is the same answer we got back here. Okay, so if we go through, we have now done all 5 of those techniques. You may have to pause it, go back and review a couple of them, but please spend a little bit of time on the algebraic. It's very helpful, especially when you have decimals, weird numbers, word problems. The algebraic can really save you when it's hard to graph the problems. Okay, so there's a couple questions to try, and thanks for tuning in.